My people, we need to talk. Let's talk about the colonial relic hypocrisy and Mark Golding's colonial roots. Now, following the Nara debate, the PMP used the Mace incident to attack parliamentary symbols as colonial relics. However, this creates a glaring political hypocrisy. If the PMP really believes symbols of British authority are offensive to modern Jamaica, how do they reconcile that with a leader who until March of last year maintained a British citizenship and represents the very power structure they claim to now despise? The mace is a metal. It can be replaced, it can be melted down and put in a museum. On the other hand, Mark Golding is flesh and blood with a specific lineage that the PMP now treat as irrelevant while they perform outrage over symbols. If the PMP genuinely believes colonial residue should be purged from Jamaican public life, consistency demands that they acknowledge what Golding represents. Do Jamaicans still harbor the great house mentality? Some critics point to Golding's ancestry, specifically his great grandfather, Benjamin Nunes, who was the second largest slave owner in Jamaica. The Golding family profited from the enslavement of our African ancestors. Mark Golding himself was born in England, educated in England, and carries the name, accent, and cultural formation of the colonizer. Electing him wouldn't be a break from colonialism. It would be its ironic completion. The former slave plantation choosing the heir of its former master as prime minister. Now, while individuals are not responsible for their ancestors' actions, the political point is about narrative. If a country still reeling from the legacy of slavery, having a descendant of a major enslaver leading the party of the people, can be viewed as a psychological and historical step backward. It suggests that despite 60 plus years of independence, Jamaica is still looking to the great house for leadership. There's a question of sovereignty. How can you claim to be the party of total decolonization when your leaders' roots are the blueprint of the colonial system? Now, many argue that electing Golding is retrograde, because it reinforces the idea that elite British connected leadership is the only viable option, undermining the Banya grassroots leadership that a young independent nation should be nurturing. The PMP and its supporters claim that the mace is a colonial relic, but they want to put an Englishman in Jamaica House. Make it make sense. Is electing a descendant of the island's biggest enslavers progress or backward step? We should not have to ignore Mark Golding's great house roots. You can't scream, decolonize, while following a leader who is only recently given up his British passport. That's not a revolution. It's a rebrand. It's really rich to be implying that the government is supportive of colonial relic, while the Speaker of the House is simply applying the standing orders. It is pretty rich when it is coming from a party being led by someone who is the embodiment of colonialism. For a young nation still working through post colonial identity, this matters symbolically. Independence in 1962 was supposed to mean self determination, not the recycling of colonial families into leadership. We don't need a colonial dynasty in independent Jamaica. We have had 60 plus years to develop our own political class. When the PNP present Mark Golding as the alternative, the implicit message is even our opposition to colonialism must be led by the colonizers' descendants. That's not progress. It's a psychological regression. Hold on. I can hear the question that you're not asking. And I have a response for that. You are telling me that Mr. Golden is a Jamaican citizen and we should judge him based on policy, or we should not punish him for his ancestors. Here's my response. We are not punishing him. We are just noting the irony. A party that weaponizes historical grievance against a ceremonial object cannot then declare lineage off limits when it exposes their own candidate and leader of their party. So before you attack the mace, take a look at your mark. Thank you for stopping by. Please leave your feedback, like, share, and follow. What good?